They are the Earth's mightiest heroes, the last line of defense against the boundless forces of calamity and destruction that seek to bring ruin upon the innocent. They've saved the world, the universe, and even the multiverse countless times. They are the Avengers, Marvel's premier superhero squad. The best of the best, trusted by all to save the day when it counts, and feared by those who would see the world suffer. The ranks of this foremost team of heroes are vast and formidable, with some of the most powerful beings in the entire Marvel universe having heeded the call to assemble at one time or another. Since their founding, the Avengers have gone up against many of the most dangerous enemies all of creation has to offer, and seen them all defeated. This paramount fighting force has had everyone from Ant-Man to Hulk grace their roster over the years. Today we are going to be sifting through each and every recruit the Dream Team has ever accepted in search of the top 10 strongest Avengers of all time. So without further ado, let's get into the action. Number 10, Wonder Man. Simon Williams was designed to be an Avenger, literally. Once upon a time, a weapons manufacturer disgraced and driven out of business by Tony Stark was approached by Baron Zemo to take part in some experiments in exchange for some possible revenge on Stark. Simon Williams, facing possible prison time for embezzling from his company, accepts Zemo's terms and the risks involved. Zemo performs radical and extreme experiments on the man, seeking to imbue Williams with increased strength and invincibility. After bombarding Williams with the most potent, most powerful ionic rays ever assembled in one concentrated area, the meek, mild-mannered Simon Williams is transformed into something new. Even at the moment of his creation, Wonder Man possessed the raw strength equal to that of Thor's hammer. Although Wonder Man began his career as a mole inside the Avengers, after his initial missteps, he would eventually be welcomed back as a loyal and deserving member of the team. Over the years since his creation, Wonder Man's powers have continued to increase in potency. Simon would eventually develop self-powered flight, laser vision, and energy expulsion, and his strength would increase tenfold. At this point, Captain America considers Wonder Man to have Sentry level strength. And as we'll see later, Sentry level strength is absolutely terrifying. Simon's body is also made completely self-sufficient, making food, drink, and even air unnecessary for him. In essence, Wonder Man represents a power set with remarkable diversity and potential. While he may not jump to mind as one of the Avengers' biggest guns, the fact that his powers continue to creep up and up and up, with seemingly no limits, must be taken into account. Though he boasts considerable strength, Wonder Man has yet to exhibit the levels of power necessary to earn him any higher than a 10th place finish on our list. However, considering where Simon's power levels are today compared to when he was created, it is certainly possible that as his powers expand, Wonder Man could eventually surpass some of the names on this list and creep ever further up the ranks. Number 9, Photon. You may know her as Photon. You may know her as Spectrum. You may even know her as Captain Marvel. No, not that Captain Marvel, she is waiting for us just a little further down the list. But whatever name Monica Rambeau takes, she deserves a spot on this list. Photon's power set isn't perhaps the most bombastic, but her defensive capabilities coupled with the impressive offense she provides is not a combo to be taken lightly. Monica Rambeau can transform her physical body into any spectrum of light she desires. Most of these wavelengths are not only invisible to the human eye, but intangible to all physical force, making Photon essentially immune to any detection and danger while in her pure light form. From visible light to gamma rays, Monica not only transmutes her body into any kind of light, but takes on the properties of that light as well. This gives her one of the fastest flight speeds in all of the Marvel Universe, as she can travel at the speed of light at will. And for any who may doubt the inherent power of speed, the Flash is an excellent example of why super speed is not to be underestimated. Photon's light-based physiology also grants her nigh immortality, since the pure energy her body now consists of cannot be destroyed. As such, she additionally does not age past her physical prime. Although this isn't to say that Monica lacks limits. When leading the Avengers against the Leviathan, Photon orders Thor to summon a lightning storm. Transmuting herself into pure electricity, Monica becomes part of the storm itself and brings the hammer down on the Leviathan. Photon directs the entire electrical potential of Thor's storm at the beast below, instantly vaporizing trillions of tons of water as she hits the ocean's surface. The experience disperses her energy, temporarily putting her out of commission and causing her to be terribly exhausted and malnourished when she does reform minutes later. This example shows us just how devastating Photon can be when unleashing her full potential onto an enemy. But it also shows us that even when Monica uses all of her considerable power, something that would leave other heroes dead or vulnerable, the indestructible energy of her being will simply reform elsewhere. While Photon might not be the hardest hitter in the Marvel Universe, her speed, intangibility, as well as her immortality means no matter how many times she is knocked down, she can always get right back into the fight. And though Photon may not possess the raw power to take down any enemy in one hit, her unique power set makes her an extremely dangerous and easily underestimated opponent. One that is certainly worthy of the 9th spot on our countdown. But before we get any further down our list, be sure to subscribe to the channel with notifications on to never miss an upload, and smash that like button for some plumber today. Number 8, Thor. Next we come to a familiar and disarmingly handsome face. Thor Odin's son, firstborn heir to the throne of Asgard and the god of thunder himself. Yes, on any list of the strongest Avengers, Thor certainly deserves a spot. And the god of thunder isn't just any big gun the Avengers picked up over the years. He was the original. Indeed, way back in ye old pages of Avengers #1 from 1963, Thor Odin's son helped originally form the team and would serve as its initial most powerful member. In the years since, Thor has shown us the true limits of his abilities. And even compared to the ever-expanding roster of the Avengers, it is clear that Thor still holds his own against even his most powerful teammates. Once while engaging in a wager against the dreaded Fin Fang Foom, Thor was required to lift the dragon's foot or else the beast would lay waste to the city. Though it took all of his immense effort, with the ground literally cracking under his feet, Thor essentially beats a colossal dragon 50 times his size in an arm wrestling contest. A feat few others could even dream of. As if his sheer strength wasn't enough, Thor's determination and stamina are also the stuff of legends. He once held the line against armies of frost giants for 9 months straight. The almighty Odin himself, one of the most powerful beings in all of existence, once called Thor the most capable killer Asgard has ever produced. Thor once exhibited the ability to call forth huge earthquakes and storms of lightning to strike simultaneously across the entire planet, bringing mankind to its knees. He once used his mighty hammer, while under mind control, to create a vortex powerful enough to literally lift the Eiffel Tower into the atmosphere and proceeded to smash it to smithereens as it fell to Earth. Any list of the all-time strongest Avengers would be remiss not to include Thor for his literal godlike strength and thunderous powers. But unfortunately for our golden-haired hammer lover, the Avengers have seen many even more powerful heroes join since the team's creation. Meaning that even with his considerable power set, Thor will take 8th place on our countdown. Number 7. Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel is one of the undeniable powerhouses of Earth's arsenal of heroes. She once explained, "I know that gravity cannot ground me, that physics cannot bind me, that there is no attack I cannot deflect, no energy I cannot hold, that I am undefeatable, the last dream of a lost planet, that I am power itself." Carol Danvers is one of the most formidable combatants in the universe, and it is not simply because of her immensely explosive power set. Carol is a born leader, and her refusal to admit defeat under any circumstances affords her a fighting chance no matter the opponent she faces. Once during the Secret Empire event, Captain Marvel and her team of spacebound heroes were trapped outside of Earth's orbit, forced to defend against battalion after battalion of Chitauri forces with no backup whatsoever. Carol succeeded in defending a single orbital station against the full might of the Chitauri forces for weeks on end, with only a handful of heroes to back her up. This speaks not just to Carol's raw strength, but to her strength of will as well. During an attack from Ultron, Carol once horseback rode a nuke into the atmosphere, ensuring that it would not affect any populated areas. Though she saved the city, the nuke exploded before she could escape its blast. Carol not only survived, she absorbed the explosive force of the nuke and got right back into the fight afterwards, laying out none other than SENTRY, someone who has his own impressive spot further down the list with a nuclear-backed punch. A hero isn't defined by the battles they can win, but by the battles they have no business winning yet triumph regardless. For my money, Carol Danvers is one of the most powerful underdogs in the Marvel Universe. Her natural leadership, unwavering bravery and willpower, and let's not forget cosmic powers of incalculable potency, make Captain Marvel a force to be reckoned with. All of which undoubtedly earns Carol a spot as the 7th most powerful Avenger of all time. Number 6. Doctor Strange. So far we've been mostly talking about Avengers whose punches could level mountains. Next we're going to get a bit more abstract. Stephen Strange likely could not lift the foot of Fin Fang Foom with his bare hands, and could be hard-pressed to find the wizard riding on the back of a nuke. But as the Sorcerer Supreme, Stephen has access to some of the most terrifying and dangerous sources of magic known to the known universe, and he is an expert at using them to overpower his adversaries. Doctor Strange might not be one of the literal strongest Avengers, but I'll be damned if he's not one of the most powerful. For one, Doctor Strange is in possession of the Book of Ashanti, which contains every counterspell known to the mystic arts. Whenever Stephen is making use of the magic book, he is delving into the most powerful, the most dangerous magical incantations known to man. Quote, "The slightest mistake might mean my doom." Most heroes are endangered by their enemies, not their own powers. The fact that the mere use of Doctor Strange's immense library of magic could at any moment constitute his own demise is evidence towards not only his heroism, but his power levels as well. The limits of Doctor Strange's powers are beyond the understanding of mere mortals. But it is safe to say that just as any flinch from a surgeon could have terrible consequences, any tiny mistake from Doctor Strange could unleash horrific magic onto the prime material at any moment. Doctor Strange doesn't just protect against the most dangerous magic known to the world, he commands it. Though his powers are unorthodox, it is safe to say that Doctor Strange's mastery of magic could stand up against even the most physically powerful adversaries. Though we must be weary, because a straight hit from anyone else on this list, especially as we continue on with the more powerful Avengers, would almost certainly knock the good Doctor out cold. Because of the discrepancy between Doctor Strange's immense magical power and his physical weakness, Steven settles somewhere in the middle of our list, placing in a comfortable 6th place. Number 5. Quasar. Wendell Vaughn is an unlikely addition to the list of heavyweight Avengers. The meek, mild-mannered SHIELD agent happened upon a set of quantum bands that allows him to access a plethora of cosmic powers and abilities. He can fly at an ungodly speed across the vacuum of outer space unharmed, create constructs made of golden quantum energy, is nearly invulnerable to all damage, and can manipulate energy around him to fit his needs. When facing off against Annihilus with Nova Corps member Richard Rider, Quasar and Nova took on Annihilus' entire military fleet in order to buy time for their companions. Quasar saved Nova's life many times during the encounter, eventually facing down Annihilus himself for some time before ultimately sacrificing himself and his powers to defeat the Warlord. Another time, when the world was under attack from Ego the Living Planet, Quasar accomplished a feat even the Silver Surfer was unable to manage when he absorbed the essence of Ego into himself to prevent the Earth from being eaten. With the Silver Surfer unconscious from his attempt to incorporate Ego, just when all hope seemed lost, Quasar offers himself to the task, pointing out maybe the Surfer's power cosmic can't contain Ego, but the quantum power is different, more adaptive. This moment gives us a good proxy for comparing Quasar's power to the Silver Surfer's. And any being whose energy levels rival that of a Herald of Galactus is one of near unlimited potential. On any roster he appears beside, Quasar and his quantum bands are going to be a standout powerhouse that enemies shiver to meet on the battlefield. Quasar may even have the raw potential to rank much higher, but his relative inexperience coupled with his dependence on the quantum bands for his powers bring his overall ranking down slightly. 5th place is no slouch though, especially compared to who we have up next. Number 4. The Incredible Hulk. Theoretically, the Hulk could take on the top spot of this list. Another founding member of the Avengers, Hulk's strength is constantly in flux. His power level varies exponentially based on how angry he is. At his angriest, as we'll see, the Hulk's strength can reach nigh incalculable levels, allowing him to go head-to-head against foes that otherwise would be undefeatable. When facing off against an impressive Avengers lineup of Thor, Black Panther, Iron Man, Captain America, Captain Marvel, and She-Hulk, the Hulk became so enraged he decked Thor out with a single punch, literally fracturing the God of Thunder's skull, leading Thor to realize he's stronger than he was, vastly so. Thor explains to Cap as they try to quell the beast that in its rage, its pain, in the shadow of its Armageddon, your mortal world may have produced something very close to a god, or a devil perhaps. Unconcerned with his diagnosis, the Hulk viciously tears through Iron Man's Hulkbuster armor with ease, and to top it all off, he even manages to knock out a fully enraged She-Hulk. At the end, the Avengers are left with no choice but to call down an orbital strike nicknamed the Helios Laser. The laser comes down with the force that decimates a small town and kills the Hulk in his tracks. But as the entire Marvel Universe knows from experience, the Hulk is just too damned angry to stay dead. Bruce Banner's green alter ego at his angriest can be one of the most powerful Avengers ever to join the team. But because Hulk is not always angry enough to exhibit his full strength, cooling down his power significantly most of the time, he'll place at a very respectable 4th on our list. Hopefully he won't be too upset about it. And Hulk should beware, as even the terrifying Green Goliath would know fear in the face of our final 3 most powerful Avengers. Number 3. Captain Universe. Coming in with the bronze medal on our list is not one being at all, but a persona that has been worn by a number of different names and forces over the years. The Sworn Protector of Eternity itself, Guardian of the Enigma Force, who else could round out the last 3 spots on our countdown but the one and only Captain Universe. Whoever dons the mantle of Captain Universe is imbued with the full might of the Uni-Power, which is a source of energy rivaling that of any other power in the universe. There are lots of examples of the Uni-Power being channeled to devastating effects. Heck, we even have a whole video on when Peter Parker took up the mantle himself. But to demonstrate the power of Captain Universe here, we'll be taking a look at another Spidey to be chosen by the Enigma Force. When the Spider-Men and women of the multiverse came up against the Deadly Inheritors a second time, they all thought all was lost. The Inheritors are a race of nearly immortal, incredibly powerful beings that feed off the energy of slain spider people from across the multiverse. On their own, the combined forces of the Spider-Verse didn't stand a chance. That is, until none other than Miles Morales made a plea to the Enigma Force, and it hurt him. Miles jumps into battle against Solus, the biggest and baddest of the Inheritors, and fends him off single-handedly using the Uni-Power to keep the giant monster at arm's length. Using blasts of cosmic energy strong enough to slice open planets, Miles throws blow after blow at Solus, eventually subduing the murderer long enough for his friends to assist in permanently capturing Solus once and for all. Becoming Captain Universe allows Miles to take on an enemy too strong for an entire army of spider-powered heroes. Simply put, Uni-Power is one of the strongest forces in the Marvel Universe. and anyone who possesses the power of Captain Universe instantly becomes one of the most overpowered beings in the galaxy. Possession of the Uni power should be more than enough to earn someone a 3rd place finish on our countdown, so I can't help but wonder, who could possibly be next? Number 2. Blue Marvel. When a mysterious villain named Anti-Man teleports to New York City and wipes the floor with the entire Avengers squad, Iron Man goes searching for an old hero from decades past named Blue Marvel. When Tony finally finds Blue Marvel, or rather when Blue Marvel finally finds him, it is revealed that one of genius scientist Adam Brashear's many powers is highly increased longevity. Adam still looks exactly the same as he did when he first became Blue Marvel, back nearly 50 years from when Iron Man went looking for him. Brashear was a young scientist working with unstable antimatter back during his youth, but an explosion at his laboratory turned him into an antimatter fueled battery with the powers of a god and turned his best friend into the villain known as Anti-Man. In essence, Blue Marvel is a stable antimatter reactor. In a similar way that Superman harnesses the energy of Earth's sun, Blue Marvel absorbs the latent antimatter energy around all of us, and his body uses it to generate enormous amounts of power. In his first appearance, while doing battle with the Avengers, Blue Marvel goes up against the combined forces of Hercules, Captain Marvel, Iron Man, and the Sentry. We still haven't seen the Sentry place yet, and we're running out of spots. Where could he be? During the fight, Blue Marvel punches Sentry so hard it sends the hero into orbit. After going toe-to-toe with the Sentry for a few minutes, the two fall in unison, ending the fight in a stalemate. Blue Marvel is also seen defending the Earth from the full force of an alien army single-handedly, with barely a scratch left on him. At his final showdown with Anti-Man, Blue Marvel exhibits another use of his power. He flies the villain far into space and creates an explosion of energy from his body so powerful that Anti-Man is completely consumed in the blast. From its inception, Blue Marvel has been and remains one of the most powerful defenders Earth has, and likely ever will. With near incalculable strength and almost no discernible weaknesses, not to mention a number of PhDs, any person on this list would be ground to dust if they were to go up against Blue Marvel at its full might. With this amount of potential strength at his command, there is no surprise that Blue Marvel ranks number 2 on our list. His only possible equal on this list? Well everyone, it looks like we finally made it to number 1, Sentry. Well, here we are folks, we have finally made it to the very top of our list. The most powerful person ever to join the ranks of the Avengers. That title can only go to the one, the only Bob Reynolds, more famously known as the Sentry. The Sentry is not only the most powerful Avenger to ever walk the Earth, he is also one of the most powerful beings in the entire universe. His powers are even said to be omnipotent. Once when doing battle with Absorbing Man, the Sentry was confronted with a difficult challenge. The Absorbing Man had the ability to absorb his exact equal in strength for as long as the Sentry kept contact with him. Sentry replies, "You couldn't even absorb the energy of a single planet. Let's see how you do with the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns." Sentry releases his full potential power into Absorbing Man, and the villain literally disintegrates from the vast power he attempted to siphon. During the World War Hulk event, the Hulk became so angry, his strength became virtually limitless. He used that anger to take over the Earth as a menacing dictator. Even after the Green Goliath had bested every Avenger, X-Men, and Defender the Earth had to offer, one man was able to contain the gamma-irradiated menace. The Sentry fought Hulk to a standstill in possibly one of the most explosive fights in Marvel history. Buildings toppling under the pressure of every punch. Behind every fist, the force of a nuclear warhead. Eventually, the two men exert so much power that they both shrank back to their respective human forms. It turns out, when an unstoppable force meets an immovable object, neither wins. We have heard a lot about the Sentry over the course of this list, with many of our top contenders for Strongest Avenger having faced off against him at one point or another. This is because the Sentry is the metric by which all other Marvel beings will be judged. With no known limits to his strength or durability, the Sentry is far and away the Earth's strongest protector. And when push comes to shove, when the Avengers truly seem outmatched, only one member is always sure to even the odds. While many heroes on this list are immensely powerful in their own right, the Sentry can be the only true nomination for our top spot in our list of the 10 strongest Avengers of all time. But there you have it, and hopefully you enjoy our countdown. If you have any heroes you think deserve a spot on this list, let us know down in the comment section below. As always, I'm Slice of Otaku. Thank you all so much for watching and have an awesome day. I love you.